All right, welcome back to the Red and Blue Fight Pick Show. I am your host, Blue Bart, accompanied by my co-host, Red Ray, who's preoccupied being a parent. But don't worry, we are back. They tried to cancel us, and by they, I mean we, but we are back. We were down 2.07 units last week, and a lot of you may be wondering, why is Red Ray not wearing a bag on his head? He lost all 3 of his units. I thought that was the deal. And prior to starting, he was crying that he didn't want to mess up his hair. He promised to do better this week. So we're going to jump right into it. We start with the Ultimate Fighter finale title fight in the flyweight division between Idiris at minus 420 with the comeback on Joseph Morales in his second stint in the UFC at plus 320. I'm going to pass this off to my co-host, Red Ray, for the breakdown.
So I've watched just the Ultimate Fighter here. I know I just found out the odds previous to this. I was kind of surprised. Al-Bibi's kind of Al-Bibi. We'll just call him Idris. He's 10-0 on the regional scene. He's a good striker. He'll go to the ground, but he fights this very similar to Azu Almabayev. His stand-up's a lot of spin and stuff, and just like a lot of, not just like a basic Kazakhstani fighter. It's a lot of like, I would say like more like Taekwondo-ish type of kicking and not as much of a boxing type striker. So not an overly powerful guy. He's got a lot of decisions on the regional scene. 4 out of his 10 wins are already by decision. Morales was, I thought he looked pretty decent on the Ultimate Fighter. I know he has a couple of UFC fights. He mostly wants to grapple. His stand-up's okay. Defensively, not great. But he's kind of stiff out there, but he has like a nice jab, nice 1-2. Anytime he throws, it's right down the pipe. He doesn't really do anything special. He just tries to get to a double leg and get you to the ground. He's got a nice back take. He took both of the guys on the Ultimate Fighter, took their back almost immediately in the first round of each fight. Submitted the one guy in the first round. The other guy had multiple opportunities too, but couldn't get it done. What I didn't love in the second fight is he gassed pretty hard in the third round. And the other guy took his back and pretty much had his back the whole time. Wasn't really close to a choke, but he was able to battle through that and he won that one by decision. But he had, like you said, he's been in the UFC before. One of his losses was to Davis and Figueiredo, so that's not really his fault. He had a split decision, lost to Eric Shelton, and then he had a first round rear naked choke sub over Roberto Sanchez. So I'm going to be on a BB here, because I think he just is able to stuff the takedowns for the most part, especially around 2 and 3. But I think the line's pretty crazy. I think Morales has a clear path to victory here. He's got good grappling. I think he can definitely take his back and get a submission. That's what he loves to do. And he also, Idris is obviously, this is his first time in the UFC. They're in an actual card. They're at an actual event. So who knows if the lights are bright for Idris, and Morales has been here before. So I think it probably would have lined it more like a minus 175, like plus 130-ish kind of thing. But so I'll be on Idris, but I think Morales is real alive here.
Okay, I did not watch The Ultimate Fighter at all, so I am not going to give much of a breakdown. The only thing I will say is I know Morales, again, it is his second stint within the UFC. He has fought at the highest level, going against Figueiredo, the former multi-time flyweight champion. Trains at Team Alpha Male. We know historically how good the guys do at the lower weight classes at Team Alpha Male. Uriah Faber, Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw. The list goes on. And with that being said, I do think the plus 3.5 number will be plus money. And that's probably something that I I will bet on just to have some sort of action in that opening fight. But that would be the only reason, is just because I think he has the more experience. But we'll move right up to the card. We have highly anticipated rematch between Carini Silva at minus 220 with the comeback on Diona Barbosa at plus 180. I think it's interesting. Barbosa's the almost 2-1 underdog after she won the first fight. We saw Carini Silva really struggle in her last fight when she was the one that had to defensively grapple. We've seen her be able to take down and submit a lot of the lower level women that she's fought. But Barbosa is actually pretty legit. Not as much experience in her record overall given her age within MMA, but I think she's shown flashes so far in the UFC. She's fought somewhat decent competition, really struggled defensively against Miranda Maverick. I just think Miranda Maverick is a much better wrestler grappler than Carini Silva. We saw her compete against Ernesti Karakade, however you pronounce her name. That's Red Ray and I's one of our favorite fighters. And she put on a performance with an easy submission in the first round just back in April. I like this. I like Barbosa because I think this is a close fight. I think Barbosa can offensively grapple. I think we saw Carini Silva panic a little bit when she wasn't just dominating the fight. And I don't know why this fight would look a whole lot different than the first one did. So I'm going to take Barbosa by decision. I do think the grappling is going to kind of counter each other to the point where neither of them find a finish. Uh, I don't foresee a knockout happening on the feet from either of these ladies. So I'm going to take Barbosa by decision. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, pretty much the same. My only concern with Barbosa is her gas tank is kind of not isn't the greatest. Third rounds are she kind of falls off the cliff a little bit, and she's taking this on real short notice. This is supposed to be JJ Aldrich, I believe, to fight Karina Silva. So I was never a huge fan of Karina Silva, to be honest. I thought I picked Ariana Lipski against her, and she made Ariana Lipski look like Ariana Lipski has good grappling, and we've seen since then that that's not the case. Lipski was having, I mean, she took Lipski down 5 times, but couldn't control her on the ground at all. She got up multiple times and really just kind of cage pushed her for the most of the fight. And then we saw Lipski go up against JJ Jazzy Jazz and get just absolutely dominated on the ground for 3 rounds. So there's levels obviously to this that I think people thought Karina Silva was on that level and she's not. So Barbosa's a judo black belt. I think Karina Silva's most of her takedowns are via just her being bigger than the other girl. I don't know if she's going to be able to take down Barbosa. I know you said that defensively Barbosa was struggled against Miranda Maverick, but Miranda was still only 2 for 5 on takedowns. So it wasn't like she was getting ragdolled and she had to take down on Maverick. So I think she's going to be able to stuff the takedowns here, especially the first 2 rounds. And we saw last fight, Silva gas in the 3rd round of that fight. So I don't know if Silva's really going to be able to take advantage of her come the 3rd round. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Barbosa, I don't see either one of them fishing each other. I think Barbosa's a better striker. So I think if she stays on the feet, she's going to land the better shots. So yeah, I got her by decision.
All right, let's move up the card and go to the men's middleweight division as we have former Ultimate Fighter winner Brian Battle at minus 175 with the comeback on Nursultan Ruzaboyev at plus 145. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I don't understand what Battle's doing, why he's going up to 185. I know he missed weight last time. That seems to be more of a cutting weight issue than he's too big for 170 because he's got to be much smaller guy here. He's got 4-inch height advantage for Nursultan. And I just think he's going to be the much smaller guy here in this weight. Nursultan obviously is going to be the heavier guy when it comes to the actual fight. I don't know what Battle's game plan really is going to be here. I don't understand why he's the favorite. We saw him last fight against Brandy Brown. another tall guy, and he missed weight there, and then just decided to cage push for basically 3 rounds. Got outstruck, got taken down by Randy Brown. He's not a great striker to begin with. He has the knockout over Kevin Jousset, but Kevin Jousset is a terrible striker. And then, I mean, he was beating Angelusa before Angelusa quit. He got dropped by AJ Fletcher in that fight. AJ Fletcher's a stubby armed wrestler. So I'm not like overly sure what his game plan is here. I know people think Nursultan can't stuff takedowns because he got taken down by or Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah.
That was at 170. Ruzaboy was 109 or 6'5". For him to get, he even said when he got down to 170 that he was basically just after the first round couldn't like maneuver his body, which makes sense because he's 6'5". How would he get down to 170 in the first place? Which is why he's now staying at 185. But even last fight, Dustin Stoltzfus, who's like a high level wrestler, only took him down twice and couldn't really keep him down. He was able to get up from Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus is a far superior and far stronger guy than Battle is. I think Ruzaboyev is going to be the better striker here. He basically just, I mean, he only has 2 strikes, but he only throws a jab and maybe a check hook, but that's all you really need to beat Brian Battle because Brian Battle doesn't have any strikes either. So unless Brian Battle thinks he can just cage push for 3 rounds, I think Ruzaboyev beats him up on the feet. He might knock him out. I also think he's probably the better grappler, to be honest. Maybe not a wrestler per se, but he's got a bajillion wins on the regional scene by submission. So I think he can win this any way possible. I don't understand why he's the underdog, but yeah, I'm heavily on Ruzaboyev this week.
Yeah, I do believe that Brian Battle said on the Ariel Helwani show that he was just struggling to get a fight, and that's why he took this fight at middleweight. No one wanted to fight him at welterweight, and this one was in Chicago. Um, and I think that was a big reason why he took this fight. There's no denying Brian Battle's record in the UFC. I mean, he is 8-1 overall. Was not very impressive in that last fight against Randy Brown. Brian Battle is not someone who imposes a huge knockout threat. He did flatline knockout Gabe Green when Gabe Green rushed him like a doofus and got just knocked out cold, paid the price for it. The TKO win over Kevin Jousset was a standing TKO. Didn't put him out cold. Jousset just couldn't answer the volume he was taking. The diehard blue and red Fight Pick Show listeners may recall that I was on Dustin Stoltzfus by submission over Ruzaboyev because I was not impressed by Ruzaboyev's takedown defense against Buckley, but I think he proved that he can defensively grapple. I was really impressed with Ruzaboyev's performance in the last fight. He looked like an absolute monster compared to Stoltzfus. And Stoltzfus, we know, is a massive guy in his own right. Very strong, very durable. That really stood out to me in his performance. There's also no denying the fact that Ruzaboyev has had 47 professional fights. This guy has seen it all. He was the underdog in his first fight against Bruno Ferreira. We've seen how good Ferreira's looked recently. I do think Ruzaboyev is going to be the much bigger guy. I do think he's the better striker. I don't see Battle being the smaller guy coming up from welterweight when he is kind of a true welterweight, being able to take down and submit Ruzaboyev. And Ruzaboyev is obviously no slouch on the ground with a 20-1 record by submission. I think Ruzaboyev is going to knock out Battle. That's going to be my prediction, and that is at plus 450. We move now to the men's lightweight division as we have the veteran Edson Barbosa at minus 140 with the comeback on Jakar Klose at plus 120. We have Barbosa moving back up to the lightweight division for the first time since 2020. I'm sorry, 2019. He's getting a little older. He's 39 years old now. Hasn't fought since he had the main event fight against Lerone Murphy, where he got beat up pretty bad in that fight. Two scorecards read that 50-45 for Lerone Murphy. I just don't know what to expect from Barbosa at this point. He's 39. He doesn't want to cut the weight anymore. And to me, he's fighting a guy who can impose some threats to him. We've seen Jakar Klose utilize the wrestling at times. He's a dog. He's no slouch. I think he's underrated. He has a 9-3 record in the UFC, trains at the MMA lab. We've seen how good the MMA lab has been as of late. We just saw Eric Bacano get a robbery win over Cody Brundage last week. So we know the MMA lab is more than happy to pay off the judges as well. What I really like is Jakar Klose plus 3.5. He did just get TKO'd by Joel Alvarez, but he was having some early success in that fight. And I know the UFC looks at Joel Alvarez as a real prospect, and they're having him move up to welterweight. I think Barbosa is obviously way past his prime. I don't like his durability. I don't love his gas tank. He has offensively grappled at times, but I don't think he's fought such a physical dog like Jakar Klose. He was getting taken down by Lerone Murphy and beat up. I think Klose can utilize that same game plan. Uh, I'm going to be on Klose here. Have him by decision at plus 250, but again, I really like the plus 3.5. I think at worst, he can definitely win at least one round against Barbosa. Red Ray, how do you have it?
We're on opposite sides here. I think Close is kind of, I know he's the younger guy here by a couple of years, but I think he's the much slower guy. We obviously just saw him get destroyed by Joel Alvarez, which is whatever. That's Joel Alvarez is he's a monster. So, but the issue before that, he fought Joaquin Silva, who's pretty much as basic of a guy who can get. He got dropped in that fight also. And in the third round, he slowed down in the third round there. So I don't know if that's as, I mean, Hakeem Silva doesn't really drop anybody. So I don't know if that's really the thing you want to be having going on in your career right now. I mean, he also hasn't fought much, so it's hard to, I mean, his last halfway decent guy that he fought was Beneil Dariush. That was 5 years ago. He got knocked out there. Everybody else he's fought is pretty much just really low level guys. I mean, Rafa Garcia is all right, but Joe Selecki, he slammed him. That was a minute into the fight. Brandon Jenkins is not a UFC fighter, so those are the only guys he's fighting. And then he has to step up against Alvarez. Like you said, it's Barbosa's last fight is against Lerone Murphy. His fight before that was against Sadiq Youssef. So he's fighting much higher level guys at this point. I mean, those are at 145, but he's still going to be the bigger guy here. We know how ripped Edson Barbosa is. He's going to have the 2-inch height advantage here. He's going to have 5-inch reach advantage. Even against Murphy, obviously Murphy had to take him down and did that game plan, but he did up kick Murphy and knocked him out cold. It should have been a knockout in the first round. Should have got out of there. But unfortunately, the ref didn't see the knockout, and Murphy woke up right away. But he's still the much faster guy. That's not even. It's going to be night and day in the speed. Close, obviously, he can probably take him down. Murphy's defense has never been great. I mean, Barbosa's defense has never been great grappling wise. But I just think I don't know if Barbosa's there might be a chin issue he had at 145 because, I mean, obviously he was ripped at 155 and then he was cutting weight down to 145. So who knows how dehydrated he was there at 145. But even still, he wasn't getting knocked out repeatedly. Only got dropped once. And, yeah, I mean, they had Bryce Mitchell dropped him, which isn't great. But we know Bryce Mitchell just randomly throws an overhand and drops guys. But I'd say I'm not really worried about his chin, especially because I don't think Klose has the power to really knock him out. He's just so slow. So I just think I'm on Edson here. I think he knocks him out, honestly. I think Klose his chin's not there. I think this is going to be similar to how we watched who fought last week, Eric Anders. I think it's going to be similar to Eric Anders. Slow guy against a much faster guy. This is what happens. Much more dynamic striker. He's going to try to take him down. He might be able to get him down once, but I think Barbosa is going to get back up. And Klose is just he's gonna get hit with something, a knee, a kick, I don't know, something. He's gonna get dropped. It's gonna be, I would say, first, second round KO for Barbosa.
All right, let's move up the card. We're going to keep it in the lightweight division as we have one of the blue and red favored fighters, Chase Hooper, coming back at minus 330 with the opponent being Alexander the Great Hernandez, the Great Ape, excuse me, Hernandez at plus 260. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I don't really see a path for Hernandez here. I know Hooper's the biggest favorite on the card. I feel like that's pretty safe for that reason. Hooper's been pretty dominant at 155 since he did the move up. Last fight against Jim Miller, who's a pretty high level jiu-jitsu guy. He still took him down 8 times. Didn't really get a sub in there. I know he said he was gooning too much. So that's why his forearms were gone. But so I heard him on the Yak this week and said he was not gooning this training camp. So I'm sure his forearms are going to be good. So I think the first round should be interesting. I think Hernandez probably can. He's a good defensive grappler and obviously probably going to be the more powerful striker. So I think that's his path would be maybe to land something early. But Hooper doesn't really give up on the takedowns. They're pretty much just nonstop. And Hernandez is known to gas early on too. So it's not even like it's a wait till the third round type of thing. He'll gas in the second round and he's going to be fending off takedown after takedown. And Hooper's not really the guy who just lays on his back. Really, he doesn't even need like regular takedowns. He'll just like start climbing on you. So Hernandez is going to have to repeatedly throw him off. And lately we've been watching Hernandez and he's been going to the wrestling in fights as like his path to win. Last fight he had 4 takedowns against Talibaugh. I know he tried to wrestle against Hubbard and wasn't able to get him down. It was 0-2 at takedowns there, but that was a pretty close fight too against Austin Hubbard, which isn't a great look. That was a split decision. A stand-up fight with Austin Hubbard and you're going to split decision isn't great. So he has no path. Obviously, going to do takedowns is not going to get him anywhere. So, yeah, I think Hooper second or third round sub here once Hernandez slows down, and I think once he slows down a little bit, he's going to get takedowns at will. So, if Damon Jackson could get him down 3 times, then he'll have no problem getting him down.
Yeah, I love Hooper here. I think Hernandez's only path to victory would be to knock him out in the first round, very similar to the Steve Garcia performance. But I think Hooper's past that stage in his career. We've seen him evolve every single time he comes back into the octagon. He's just been better and better and better. He's not even in his prime yet. Striking is vastly improved since he made his debut back in 2019. Hernandez has had good defensive grappling, but like you pointed out, he's been trying to utilize the grappling to win fights. He's got no business trying to get this fight to the ground with Hooper. He'd get subbed pretty easily. Ultimately, I do think that's what's going to happen. It's just similar to what you said. I think Hernandez is a known cardio issue, and he's going to slow down. We saw Hooper not be able to get the finish on Jim Miller by submission, but we know how crafty Jim Miller is on the ground in his own right. I think Cooper rolls here pretty easily and gets a submission. Won't have to overcome too much adversity. So let's move right up to the women's strawweight division as we have Jessica Andrade at plus 125, making her 30th fight in the UFC, with the comeback on one of Blue Bart's personal favorites, Lupi Godinez, at minus 150. Now, with that being said, I don't love this matchup for my girl Lupi. She has a tendency to be a very one-dimensional fighter with the boxing. She likes to come forward. She doesn't throw any kicks. She will mix in takedowns, but she won't really do anything with them. She will allow her opponents to get back up. I will say that she was very sick in her last fight. She was on antibiotics. I think that's what could have affected her performance. I mean, she did win the fight, but it wasn't the cleanest win because she had control and was kind of losing it the longer the fight went. Um, Andras, a true veteran. She is still only 33 years old for having 30 fights in the UFC. Has struggled in her last couple fights, but that was because she had to face Jastovicius, who was a part of our 3 unit play the last time out. We were on Jastovicius because we knew she was going to take her down, throw her on her head, and submit her. It's exactly what happened. I think that now fighting back down at strawweight against Loopy, we know how strong and powerful Andrade is. I think she'll be able to defend any takedowns that Godinez attempts. And even if Godinez is able to get a takedown, I don't think she's going to be able to dominantly control Andrade. I think she'll be able to get her way back up. Um, Loopy's never been knocked out, but if anyone is going to do it, I do think it is someone like Andrade, who we know puts everything behind each punch. He throws the big looping hook shots. We saw that be a big issue for Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern did beat Loopy Godinez. This could be one of those where Godinez beats Andrade, Andrade beats Mackenzie Dern beats Godinez. I don't think it will be though. I am leaning Jessica Andrade by decision at plus 250 because I think she's going to be landing the bigger strikes in the fight compared to Loopy, who throws a lot of straights, a lot of jabs, doesn't land a lot of big shots, but she does land a lot of volume. But I do think Andrade could hit her with a couple of big shots to steal some rounds. So I'm going to go with Andrade by decision at plus 250. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't have any idea what's going to happen here. I would like to think that Loopy will just grapple like she's supposed to, and we've shown Andrade has. It doesn't really matter what weight class she's at; she'll get grappled by pretty much anybody. I mean, she got grappled by Erin Blanchfield. She got grappled by Jazz. She got grappled by Tatiana Suarez. So it really doesn't matter what weight class it's at. She'll get taken down, and then when she gets taken down, she looks like she's never seen a jiu-jitsu class in her life, even though she's a supposed black belt. But as we know, I was on with Loopy. I'm a known Loopy hater. I was on Julia Pilastri against her last fight, plus 3.5 cash, no problem, because Julia Pilastri is a warrior out there, like I said she was going to be. But she was taken down 5 times, so was impressed that Loopy followed a solid game plan there and did the takedowns. Of course, she didn't do much with them. She wasn't like a dominant. She just won the first 2 rounds by pretty much controlling her on the ground by holding on. So, but I don't know. Jessica Andrade just looks so bad recently. It's hard to know what she's going to do. Last time she looked okay was against Marina Rodriguez, who was on like a 7-fight losing streak and about to retire. The Mackenzie Dern fight was probably her best. That was during Mackenzie Dern's time when she was not training with her actual head coach. So I don't know. I think she was training with her dad, I think, in her garage. So it's hard to know. Besides that, she's lost 5 of her last 7. So I don't really know what's going to happen here. I'm gonna take Loopy. I just gonna hope that she can follows the same game plan and then doesn't have to poop her pants in the 3rd round, and can survive any kind of Andrade stand up and win a decision here. You're on mute.
All right, let's move right up. We're going to the men's middleweight division as we have the short notice fight. We have Baisongor Susurkaev. Now, those of you that were watching Dana White's Contender Series fight this past Tuesday night may recognize him as he's getting a call on just a few days' notice. He is training partners and buddies with Khamzat Chimaev, who's obviously in the main event, and he's going to be taking on Eric Nolan, making his debut within the UFC. The training partner of Khamzat, Susurkaev, is a big favorite here at minus 800 with the comeback on Eric Nolan at plus 550. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Not much I can say here. I haven't. This was just named 2 days ago, so I haven't. I can't tape. I can't. I didn't tape Eric Nolan yet. Um, but just according to his wiki, he's got a couple of losses against some guys that I know in the regional scene that aren't the greatest. So I don't know what kind of fighter he is, but doesn't look like he's a top level prospect. And we just saw Susurkaev or whatever on the Contender Series just ran through um, the guy. The guy tried to take him down. He did some good things in the cage, was able to stay safe, and then got back to standing up and just absolutely just right in the middle, right in the front kick right to the belly and dropped him. Um, from what I know, Susurkaev is a high level striker. He can get taken down, but I mean, he showed good takedown defense on the Contender Series, so he's obviously been working on it. Um, I've never, from what I've heard, is he's never been even like hurt in fights. He just kind of walks down guys, finishes them when strikes. So I'm going to take him to win by KO here, but of course, that's just basically off of my internet sleuthing of Eric Nolan for 10, 15 minutes. So don't take much faith into what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time either. I will just say Eric Nolan's 8-3. He's fighting a guy who I think the UFC is really trying to promote as a future phenom within the division. They're bringing him back in on 5 days' notice because they want to see another highlight finish before Hamzat's fight. This guy's minus 800. The over/under in the fight is 1.5, and it's basically a pick 'em both ways at minus 115. I'm quite sure Susurkaev is going to knock him out in the first round. That's probably what I'll bet. There's no line on it right now. I do like that 1.5 number. I like the under on that. Guy's 24 years old. Again, there's a reason they're putting him in the co-main prelim fight before they go to pay-per-view. I think he's going to get a highlight knockout here. Let's move right up. We're going to keep it in the men's middleweight division as we have Gerald Meerschaert, GM3 at plus 190 with the comeback on Michel Oleksiejczuk, or as some of us like to refer to him as Mikey O. And as we know, Mikey O is now with the Fighting Nerds. And some of you may have noticed that I am wearing glasses. Is that because I have impaired vision? It is not. Is it because I am a believer in the Fighting Nerds this weekend? It is. Mikey O is now actually training with a real team. He is not fighting his brother on the side of the garage anymore. We know this guy has devastating power in his hands, 15 wins by knockout of his 20 wins. We know GM3 is basically like a walking punching bag. He's like a walking punching bag that has a timer on it. And if you go past 7.5 minutes and you're not able to uh, defend yourself anymore, then he is capable of taking you down and submitting you. But overall, Meerschaert has looked really bad as of late, looked really bad against Tavares, looked serviceable against RDR, was looking terrible against Shabazian before. Guess what happened? We had that 7.5 minute marker. Shabazian could no longer defend himself and got submitted. Same thing in the Barberina fight. Uh, Lost to Petrowski, got knocked out by Pfeiffer. I think Mikey O is now that he's training with a real team, he's going to have a huge advantage on the feet. I think he's going to knock him out. I'll give Meerschaert credit. He's only been KO'd or TKO'd 4 times. One to Joe Pfeiffer, the famous one to Hamzat within 17 seconds. Hasn't been knocked out in a little while. I mean, it's been a couple years, but I'm not sure he's fought the. I mean, but again, he did survive Shabazian in the first round, so he has been durable. Um, so I could see him surviving and maybe going to decision. But I do think that Mikey O is going to be able to knock him out. The knockout number is minus 115. I think there's a little bit of value on the decision at plus 500. Um, I know a lot of people are on GM3 by submission only. I'm not sure what the line is on that. seems pretty obvious. Mikey O has been submitted 6 times and only has one submission win. So if you are on the Meerschaert side, you could bet submission only, and that seems like a pretty safe bet. I'm sure it's not a great line though. Um, but ultimately, I'm going to go with Mikey O by KO at -115. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, pretty aligned here. I just like the under. I think both these guys, either way, I think it finishes early. I think obviously Meerschaert has a path with the submissions, and then Mikey O with the knockout. I think Mikey O's gonna. I'm on the Mikey O side. I think he does get the knockout. Um, like you said, he did survive Edmund, but was absolutely getting crushed for the first minute, like round and a half before he was able to get the takedown. DeRitter was death gas in round 3, and he still got submitted there. That was a terrible look. And DeRitter also knocked him down in the first round. And we know how good of a striker he is. He's an awful striker. And then the Tavares fight was just him just diving at Tavares' legs and Tavares stuffing him. But I just think Mikey O's, he's knocking down everybody. I'm not reading much into the camp change. I mean, it's nice that he's actually training with actual people now, but his game plan is probably going to be pretty similar. I don't know if he's going to start learning takedown defense or anything at this point, but it's not like Meerschaert is some high level wrestler that he's going to have to stuff takedowns from. So I think he's going to keep it standing. He's going to maybe have to stuff 1 or 2 takedowns. And before that, I think he's going to be able to knock him out. But I love the under here. The under 1.5, I think, is -150 or something like that. So I just think whoever gets their game plan, I think it's going to happen quickly. I mean, I don't think Oleksiejczuk is going to be able to survive on the ground with him. So Meerschaert should be able to get a submission immediately if he gets him down, but I just think he'll be able to keep it standing. And Mikey O for the KO in the first.
All right. It is time for the main card. As we start in the flyweight division, as we have one of Red Ray's favorite fighters, Tim Elliott at +270 with the comeback on the returning Kai Asakura at -350. Of course, Asakura coming off the title fight in his first fight in the UFC that did not go his way against Pantoja. But Red Ray, break it down for us.
We've seen Kai Asakura once. He fought Pantoja. Obviously, he's a pretty powerful striker on the feet. He's a big guy for the division. He fought at 135 and won. I think he's going to be the bigger guy here. He's 5'8" compared to 5'9" compared to 5'8". But his grappling is suspect. But he did show some good things against Pantoja. I mean, he obviously got submitted in the second round, but we know how good Pantoja is on the ground and how good of a wrestler is. I mean, he did stuff for the 4 of the 7 takedowns. And he was able to get up. I mean, if you have to shoot 7 times, obviously he wasn't getting controlled on the ground for the whole fight. So he did some good things. And now he's going against Tim Elliott, who's honestly like a poor man's Pantoja everywhere, I guess. He's a wrestler that wants to – he's a bad striker. Like Pantoja's not a great striker. He just wants to wrestle. He's not as good of a wrestler as Pantoja. And he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he's not as good as a jiu-jitsu guy as Pantoja. So I think this is actually a good matchup for Kai because he's now facing this basically the same guy 2 straight times. So training camp has probably been similar. And also, I mean, Tim Elliott's been out for, I mean, almost a year now. So who even knows what he's got no social media for the last year or so. Who's even training? Who knows what he's doing? So I just think it's going to probably take Kai a little bit because Tim's a real awkward striker, but his hands are down most of the time. He's not a hands-high guy. I think Kai lands a shot first or second round. I think he knocks him out. If Tim gets him down, I think he's going to be able to do similar things that he did with against Pantoja, do the right things. Probably gotten better since then. Should be able to stand up against him or stay safe, like at least till the end of the round. So also Tim, who knows what his gas tank's going to be. Every fight it's hit or miss whether his gas tank's going to be good. Saw just, what was it, 3 fights ago against Mokaev. He was winning the first 2 rounds and then gassed out in the third and got arm triangled. Fight before that was against Victor Altamirano, literally the worst fighter that ever stepped foot in the UFC cage. And it was actually a competitive fight for 3 rounds, and he completely gassed in that run. And Altamirano was like looking like a competitive person for like the last round, which was probably one of his most embarrassing rounds. So, yeah, you just don't know. He could easily just gas here, and if that happens, then I think it's even worse for him. I think Kai will just drown him there at the end. So, but I think it's going to happen already. So, first or second round, Kai KO here. Muted again.
Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, Tim Elliott has not fought in a year and a half. He is 38 years old. And I texted Red Ray. I watched the press conference in the stare downs, and I am not kidding when he was literally shaking out of his skin in the stare down against Kai Asakura. I think he is scared to death to get into a striking match with Kai Asakura. I don't think he's going to want to get hit at all. We know Kai Asakura is known for his devastating knockouts. And like you said, he obviously didn't have an outstanding performance against Pantoja, but he looked okay on the ground. I mean, obviously he did get submitted. Um, we know that is Tim Elliott's game. But I just think at 38 years old, when you're scared to death to get close to your opponent, um, I think that they're giving Asakura this matchup because they want to propel him um, in further up into the division, make him more relevant again, get more of that Japanese market. I think he's going to knock out Elliott. I think Elliott's going to shrivel up and he's going to, climb back up to the top of wherever Quasimodo's from, and he's going to start ringing the bell and, head back to Notre Dame to be the hunchback. So we're going to move right up to the middleweight division as we have Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier at plus 160 with the comeback on Michael Venom Page at minus 190. Michael Page staying in the middleweight division, also saying on the Helwani show that he was also having a hard time finding a fight. Maybe him and Brian Battle should have fought. But either way, I've done pretty good on the Venom Page picks so far in the UFC. I was on him against Holland. I was on him big time against Shara Bullet when he was the underdog in that fight. But I don't love this matchup for him here. I do think this is going to be a competitive fight. Michael Page has been a low volume striker so far in the UFC. Hasn't been able to put anyone away. Cannonier coming off a big comeback win against RoboCop. He's able to utilize wrestling at times when he needs to. We don't see it too often, but he has been in there with the absolute best strikers in the middleweight division. He was holding zone against Imavov before the early stoppage. Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whitaker, Jack Hermanson, Anderson Silva. The list goes on and on and on. We know this guy's a former heavyweight, dropped down to light heavyweight, dropped down to middleweight. He is 41 years old, but he's not fighting a spring chicken in Michael Page. I think Cannonier needs this win more than Michael Page does. Once again, we have another MMA Lab guy. I think that gym has been performing really well. I think Michael Page is very live in this fight, but I am going to lean Cannonier because of the experience, the potential grappling. I think if he really chooses to utilize it, we saw Michael Page get taken down by Ian Machado Gary and lose a round due to grappling in that department. We haven't seen Michael Page knock anybody out yet, and now he's fighting up a weight class. I don't think that the power is really going to carry over into a higher weight class against a durable guy. So I'm leaning Cannonier by decision at plus 275. This could be a snooze fest. We've seen Michael Page be involved in those low volume affairs. We've seen Cannonier have a very boring decision against a striker like Israel Adesanya. But I'm hoping Cannonier has the game plan of looking to utilize some grappling and grinds out a decision. I really like his plus 3.5, but I like him by decision at plus 275. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Um, I'm on the Michael Bennett page side here. I just think it's more on the. I mean, I like Cannonier. Obviously, he's in amazing shape for being 41, but I think he's starting to slow down a little bit. I know he's got the win against Rodriguez last time out, but he's been knocked down now, and I know Imamov wasn't credited with the knockdown, but he won that one by he lost by KO in that one, and Vittori wasn't registered with a knockout and knockdown in that one, but he definitely got rocked in the first round, if not knocked down. I don't remember, but definitely got rocked. So he's been knocked down or KO'd in all of his last four fights. Um, Twice last fight by Rodriguez. He's been hit now in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of his last six fights. He's been hit with over 100 significant strikes in four of the last six, and then Rodriguez landed 93 against him in just over 3 rounds last fight. So I just think it's just like an accumulation of damage at this point that his chin's kind of starting to go. Obviously, he pulled the fight out against Rodriguez because I just think he's such a tough guy. I mean, he was able to come back. Rodriguez gassed after the third round, but every other fight he's not. I mean, it's not looking great. I mean, getting rocked by Vittori is like a huge red flag to me. Vittori is probably one of the weakest hitters in the division. I think Michael Venom Page on his hits harder than he definitely hits harder than Bahalio, who knocked him down. He hits harder than Vittori. He probably hits harder than Imavov. I would say Rodriguez is the only guy that maybe doesn't hit as hard, but I think it's pretty equivalent, even at 185. So I just think he's going to be able to land the strikes. I think wrestling is the only path for Cannonier here. He's only gotten over one takedown against Vittori in his last however many fights. He got four, and Vittori was kind of done after the second round in that fight, so he was kind of just taking down a dead man. There, the other two takedowns he had were both in the first round. I think they caught the guy off guard. I think Page is going to realize that that's probably Cannonier's best path here is to take him down because he's not going to want to stand with him for 3 rounds. And like you said, Page is very low volume, but every fight he's had so far, he's landed the more significant strikes. So it's more of how he fights is no one wants to get into his zone because they know how quick he is. Even at 38, I mean, and he can bounce for 3 rounds. He's got his whatever Taekwondo karate style that he has. It's not like he slows down or just like at any time you can get into his range. And especially now we're in the big cage. So if this is at the Apex or something where he's at the smaller cage, maybe I'd lean more towards Cannonier. But I just think Michael Page, I think he'll land a strike at any moment on that chin and rock him. If not, I think he just can stay standing and just piece Cannonier up for 3 rounds. Maybe Cannonier starts a little bit faster than usual. This is his first non-main event in his last 6 fights. So he's only got 3 rounds. I don't think he ever has a cardio issue, but maybe he just decides to blitz him early. Maybe that's a path for him. But even then, I just don't think. I think Page will just be able to move around him and land the bigger shots. So I have Michael Page by KO here. I think could happen at any round. But
I have a quick follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
If I pitted a gorilla against a snake, who would you pick to win?
Yeah, it depends. How big is a snake? What kind of snake is it?
It's a 185-pound snake.
185-pound snake against a gorilla?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if the snake can bite him early, I feel like a 185-pound snake has got to produce a lot of venom.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, at that point now, you're just like maybe just wraps him up. I mean, if he's a what are they, boa constrictor?
Have you seen King Kong?
Well, he's not King Kong, is he? He's just a gorilla.
He's a killer gorilla.
I don't think that means he's King Kong, though.
All right. Anyway, let's move up the card, the welterweight division, as we have Jeff Hands of Steel Neal making his comeback fight at plus 200 with a comeback on the Fighting Nerd. Carlos Prates at minus 250. Red Ray, how do you have it?
This should be a good fight. Two guys. I mean, Jeff Neal's kind of become the gatekeeper of the 185-pound division or 170-pound division, excuse me. He's been fighting all of the top level guys at this point. I know people like to talk about how good he looked against Shavkat. He got he got absolutely annihilated against that fight. I don't know why people love to hold on to that fight. It was 3 rounds. He got outstruck 113-69. Got standing rear naked choked in the 3rd round, and I think people were just really excited because it was the first time Shavkat had been struck before, and we've kind of seen how Shavkat's out the bee's knees at this point. So it's kind of looked even worse in overtime. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Ian Machado, basically just didn't do anything for 3 rounds, and then just got out. 67. He landed 46 strikes on a 3-round fight. And then last fight, he fought Dos Anjos, who broke his knee and whatever, did something to his knee in the 1st round. That's the only reason he won that fight. And Dos Anjos also isn't a 170. He's a 155er coming up. So, and then now it's been over almost a year since his last fight. So he doesn't like to fight a lot. He's not on a great run. His last good fight was against Vicente Luque. So on the other side, you got Prates. Obviously, we've seen him 5 times now, 6 times. His last fight he lost to Ian Machado. Didn't really, I don't know what, it looked like he was just waiting a lot. Didn't really have a lot of volume in that fight either. But he still probably should have won the fight in the 4th or 5th round. He definitely the 5th round, he rocked Gary, and Gary was pretty much just diving at his legs. I think if he had a little bit more cardio left, he would have been able to finish that fight. But thankfully, this is only 3 rounds instead of 5. So I just think he's going to be able to land the bigger shots. Jeff Neal doesn't like to fight long, rangy strikers. We obviously saw what he did against Ian Gary. Neil Magny, he actually lost to. I said he's the new gatekeeper, but which is Neil Magny's job, but he actually lost to Neil Magny, so he didn't even pass that gate to get up to these fighters. He lost to Steven Thompson, who's basically not a long rangey guy, but he is rangy because of his fighting style. So now he's going to fight Prates, who's going to be who's the much taller guy, the longer guy, and he works his range very good. And I think he's honestly the more powerful striker. So I don't know if Prates is going to finish him. Neal's really tough. It hasn't only been. I don't think he's been KO'd in the UFC. Maybe outside, but I just think Prates just outstrikes him with the bigger shots for 3 rounds, wins a decision here.
Yep, on the same side here. I was going to point out that his only Jeff Neal's only knockout loss was to Kevin Holland, who has a very similar frame to Prates, but probably doesn't have the same level of knockout power and striking that Prates does. I was really impressed by Prates in the Gary fight. I was on Gary and he did ultimately win, but I think Prates proved he is legit. He does have cardio for up to 5 rounds. Obviously, this is only a 3-round fight. I heard Jeff Neal in an interview. He's still working as a waiter to do active rest, which I thought was just kind of funny. He said it's good for his not only for his body but for his mental health as well. To me, if you're still working as a waiter when you're fighting on the main card of a pay-per-view in the UFC, seems like you're not fully committed to your career and to the fight. I feel like you could step away from that to focus on at least the fight. Prior to that Gary fight, Prates was knocking everyone out. Had been on a 10-fight knockout streak. Almost knocked out Gary. Jeff Neal, yeah, I don't like the extended time off always in between fights. I don't like this stylistic matchup for him. think Prates is a sniper. I think he's going to knock him out. I like Prates by KO at plus 110. We move to the co-main event of the evening as we have Lerone Murphy at plus 155 with the newcomer Aaron Pico at minus 185. And I am happy to start us here for us as we have another Bellator bum coming across the pond here, coming off a three-fight win streak over a mechanic named Henry Corrales with a record of 21-8, who did knock out Pico before. Pico got the better of him in the last fight. Before that, he knocked out a taxi driver named Pedro Carvajalo with a record of 13-10. It's really impressive. And prior to that, he won a decision over a 10-8 35-year-old James Gonzalez with the nickname the Alley Cat. So a lot of impressive wins here for Pecco. He's calling out Volkanovski, saying that he's going to beat Lerone Murphy and then get a title shot. I think he's a little confused. He might think it's a bodybuilding competition because he is in phenomenal shape. He probably would beat Murphy in bodybuilding. But Murphy's no slouch. If y'all aren't familiar with Lerone Murphy, he's 16-0. He is on a 7-fight win streak in the UFC. He's the number 6 ranked featherweight in the world, has great defensive grappling, is capable of knocking people out, has never been knocked out. He's never been knocked out by a taxi driver or a mechanic. He's taking this fight on short notice because he wants the title shot. I don't think he's taking this fight on short notice if he wasn't confident he was going to be able to put away Pico. I'm obviously a Lerone Murphy fan. Mark is the word I was looking for. He's done me a lot of good things in his career. I've always had his back, and he's always had mine. I love Lerone Murphy. I will always love Lerone Murphy for the rest of my life. I'll be backing him in this fight. I'm against these Bellator bums. I've seen Patchy Mix come in and get his butt whooped. I saw the Pitbull come in and get his butt whooped. Lerone Murphy, I think he's going to knock him out. I really do. That's going to be my prediction, and that number is plus 650. Aaron Pico goes to the back of the line. Red Ray, how do you have it?
All right, I can't believe you wasted all that breath talking about such nonsense. All right, first off, if you're listening to this, you can't take anything seriously from a guy who just was calling Aaron Pecco for the last 10 minutes. So already lost all credibility in your breakdown. So here we go. Aaron Pico, since Bart hasn't watched any of his fights, he's at 16 years old, was a alternate for the United States Olympic team. Bart, is that any good, do you think? Do you think he's an okay wrestler or no?
Oh, wait. I didn't know they were having a wrestling match.
They might. Who knows? But anyways, moving on. Then he also was trained at a super young age because he decided he wasn't going to go on the Olympic team. He would have made it. Obviously, he was 16, alternate. He would have made it at some point. Decided, no, I'm going to do MMA. So, I don't know, maybe I'll become a boxer and get trained by a guy named Teddy Roach. Ever heard of him, Bart?
All I've been hearing about is his wrestling. His wrestling.
That's a shame. That's why, because he also has a ton of knockouts. And how many knockouts does he have? 7 knockouts. No, that's Murphy. I'm on the wrong page.
I think I could knock out a taxi driver too if it came down to it.
But 9 knockouts. That's right. Murphy only has 7. You said Murphy, but he's going to face a guy with more knockouts.
He fights real fighters, I think, is the difference.
Anyways, back to what we're talking about. So he's a Golden Gloves boxing champion. He was trained by the greatest boxing coach of all time, Teddy Roach. He's a very high-level striker. He's also a Olympic level wrestler on the ground. Yes. Did he get knocked out 2 times when he was young? Yes. That was 6 years ago. He's currently 28 years old. So that was when he was 22 years old.
He doesn't fight. He's got 1 fight in 3 years.
Yeah, because no one's going to. When do you ever see Bellator or PFL put on a card? That's why he had to leave and come over here, because no one would fight him, or else he would have been the champion already over there. If you're going to if you're going to knock him out, if you watch either of those fights, both Borix and Corrales, they're guys who fight in like they're slugs. They're just slugfests all the time. They're not technical fighters at all. That's how you have to beat Aaron Pico, and because he's very technical, he's a high level boxer. So, anyways, his other fight against Jeremy Kennedy, his shoulder popped out. He got dislocated. Murphy's best chance of winning a TKO here is that he hopes that his shoulder pops out again. So that's the only way he's knocking out Pico here. But also, Murphy does not fight like that. He's a very technical striker also. So he's not going to get into any kind of war with Pico on the feet. He's going to try to just do his usual thing where he bounces around on the outside, lands 4 strikes. What did he land? 84 strikes against Josh Emmett, who I know I've seen a lot of people on the Murphy side try to compare Pico to Josh Emmett. Like, Josh Emmett's not 900 years old and Pico's 28 years old in the prime of his career. Also, just break down, what is Murphy better than Pico? Is he a better striker? No, he's not a better striker. Is he a better wrestler? No, he's not a better wrestler. Is he a better jiu-jitsu guy? Maybe, but they're probably even on the jiu-jitsu. Is Murphy going to start throwing up submissions all over the place? No, he has no submissions in his career. So your best path of victory here is if Pico decides, hey, I'm going to come in the first round, I'm going to double leg him and get it, because he's going to get the first double leg. It's going to be easy. He's going to get him down, and Murphy's able to stand up because he knows what he's doing. He's going to get up probably. I wouldn't say Pico's control is the best in the world. So he's going to get up, and then Pico's probably going to keep trying to take him down. And then maybe Pico gasses after the first round, even though we've shown really no signs of him gassing at any point. So maybe he death gas because the UFC is really excited, and then Murphy can do what he usually does, where he taps you on the forehead for the next 2 rounds and wins a decision. That's literally the only way. So if you're not on the Pico side, don't play Murphy before the fight. Play him after the first round if you see Pico decide he's going to come out with a heavy wrestling game plan. But if Pico wants, he's going to strike, and that's how his best path of victory. He should do the Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley game plan. Strike for about the first 2.5, 3 minutes of the round. Win that first 2.5, 3 minutes, because he's going to win that first 2.5, 3 minutes of the round, and then do the takedown there. 1 takedown, and that'll probably last you for the last 2 minutes of the fight or the round. Don't waste your energy doing 1,000,000 takedowns if you don't have to. But back to the Laurent Murphy. This seems like I'm a hate on Laurent Murphy, but I think he's a good fighter. Obviously, you said he's 16-0, but let's look at his last couple of fights. He got knocked down against Dan Ige. I know you just blasted all the Bellator guys. Dan Ige just lost to a 400-year-old pit bull. He almost lost to Dan Ige. He got knocked down in the first round, almost got dropped, almost got finished, had to come back and wrestle Dan Ige for the next 2 rounds because he couldn't strike with him. We know Dan Ige can't wrestle. He's a terrible wrestler. As I said earlier, he got knocked out cold against Edson Barbosa in the first round by an up kick. Thankfully, he landed on top of Edson Barbosa, or else he would have been face first on the mat. So he got lucky there, was able to survive. Against Josh Emmett, he was taken down 4 times against Josh Emmett, as we said, 40-year-old man who doesn't take anybody down anymore. So that's worrisome. He then only landed 84 strikes over 5 rounds against a flat-footed guy who only strikes. So once again, these aren't great. Nothing he's doing is great. Fight before that was against Josh Kulbau. He's not good at anything. Then the fight before that, he fought Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos took that fight on 2 days' notice, came in off the regional scene, and then proceeded to take Murphy down 5 times in a 3-round fight, and should have won the fight. No one in the world thinks that Laurent Murphy won that fight. So now you're taking a guy who's a better striker than anybody he's fought. Anybody he's fought in the UFC. He's facing a guy who's a better wrestler than anybody he's fought in the UFC. More power than anybody besides maybe Josh Emmett, but it's probably on the same level. And this guy's in his prime. I think Pico runs through him. I think Pico finishes him. I think if he gets
So?
dropped by Pico, he's definitely going to get finished on the ground. Pico's just going to land a bunch of ground and pound finishing up shots, and it's going to be a TKO finish. So I got Pico first or second round. I'm very heavily on him. I know you're a Bellator hater, but as the previous two, we talked about Patchy Mix and Pitbull. I was both on your side on those two. Here we are not aligned. So unfortunately.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I know Red Ray holds a vendetta against Lerone Murphy for knocking out one of his all-time favorite fighters, Mach 1, Amir Khani. And I can see through that. A lot of you
I
are
would
familiar.
have to hate a lot of people if that was the case.
And we'll see. We shall see. But it is time for the main event of the evening, as we have the defending reigning champion Dricus du Plessis at plus 210 with the comeback on Khamzat Chimaev at minus 260. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I've been flip-flopped on this fight all week. I was very confident in DDP probably for the last, I don't know, since the fight was announced until about maybe a week and a half ago. Then I was on the Chimaev side, and then I worked myself back into DDP, and now I have no idea who I really am on here. Chimaev obviously fights once in a blue moon. First time he's fought in the United States in forever. I don't know how that's going to be an issue for him. Last fight, he looked dominant. He took down Robert Whitaker and finished him, but it's not like Robert Whitaker is Robert Whitaker anymore. I think he's kind of passes. Just saw him look really, really sloppy against RDR. Dricus, we saw what happened when Dricus fought him. So I don't know. He's not the guy anymore. Chimaev barely eked out a win over Usman, and Usman rolled off the couch 4 days earlier. Besides that, Chimaev hasn't faced really anybody of consequence. Obviously the Kevin Holland fight, but it was on 2 day. What was that? A day notice. They switched all the fight cards around. Gilbert Burns is a 155er that he fought tooth and nail for 3 rounds. Actually got outstruck in that one and only got 2 takedowns against Gilbert Burns. So it's just hard to really know what you're going to get there. And Dricus on the other side is obviously every time you watch him fight, you're like, oh, well, this guy isn't good at fighting. And then he just beats everybody. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, even since I think, is this his third fight with the, no, he said, I heard him. So before the Whitaker fight is when he got his nose fixed. But even still, supposedly his cardio, it looks like at certain times his cardio is he is completely death gassed after in the Adesanya fight. He looked like he was death gassed after like the second round. Obviously finished him in the fourth. The Strickland fight were stand-up battles for pretty much the most time. I know he had 6 takedowns in the first one. Then the second time he didn't even bother taking him down. Still won the unanimous decision, but it also looked like Strickland was not really fighting that fight. So it's really it's hard because you see, I mean, before the Whitaker fight, Brunson had his back or took him down, almost submitted him. Darren Till took him down at one point. I mean, that was 3 years ago, and he got taken down by Darren Till. I thought he was almost going to lose that fight. So it's hard to really know. You think Chimaev, if those guys can get him down, obviously Chimaev's going to get him down, but I don't know if he's going to. But I do think Chimaev probably wins the first couple of rounds just off of the fact that he fights in a way that's unsustainable for 5 rounds. And I don't know if I think du Plessis is, I know he did say that, I don't think it's going to be like a mauling. I don't think it's going to be like that kind of thing. I just think he's going to probably just do more than du Plessis the first couple of rounds. And then I think it'll be probably even out. I think Chimaev's gas tank issues are kind of overblown. We've seen him gas twice. The one was at 170. I know the Usman one was at 185, but I mean, he did blame his broken hand. But I mean, the Burns one at 170, he was still kind of pushing through it. I think both these guys kind of have similar gas tanks. I think they're both like just very, very in shape guys that are able to that kind of push past early on, and then they do look like they're gassed, but they're so in shape that they're able to just continue. It's not like Martin Boudet out there and they're just out of shape guys that then gas and then they just have to just are like a whale flopping on the ground. So I just think the last 3 rounds are going to be pretty competitive. I honestly don't think either guy is going to finish each other. I think Duplessis is definitely the strongest guy that Chimaev's ever faced. So I don't think he's going to maul him like I think Chimaev usually looks like he mauls people on the ground. I think Duplessis is very underrated as a grappler. So I just think it's going to be super close first 2 rounds. And then I think the last 3 rounds, while I know a lot of people think Duplessis is going to dominate, I, I could see a world where all 5 rounds are competitive and like they are both kind of gassed after the third round, but it's just like they're both just standing and they're just like kind of going back and forth on the feet. I just don't think either one of them are going to get knocked out. Maybe a submission of some sort, but I don't know. I think this honestly can go to decision. I think a lot of people are going to think it's going to finish and it's going to go all the way to decision. So, but I'll pick Duplessis for the sake of having a pick, but very 50-50 on this fight.
This one is very clear in my eyes. Red Ray, see, he took his headphones off there. He's scared to face the music, but called me a casual for what I think is going to happen. I think it's very, very clear what's going to happen. Khamzat is very live for a submission in the first round. But after that, I really think Dricus is going to take over. We see him get better and better as the fights goes on. You never know what he's going to do. He doesn't know what he's going to do. I Ray said he thinks the cardio is overrated from Khamzat, but we can only go off what we've seen, and we've seen him death gas and in 2 fights and really struggle as the fight goes on. This is the first 5-round fight. What's that?
Kind of just mention real quick. I just want to mention that on Chimaev's gas tank, he is training with one Aaron Pico for this fight, so his gas tank
he's
probably
in
through
trouble.
the roof.
Well, I mean, maybe they'll make it into a bodybuilding, but we've seen DDP obviously go 5 rounds in 2 of his last 3 fights. The Izzy fight went to the championship round. He was able to submit him. I mean, for those of you who don't know, DDP is one of my favorite fighters. I've been on him for a long time, but I truly think that this is a Khamzat first round submission at plus 330, or it is DDP over once it gets past the first round. I also think DDP is going to win by decision. I do think Khamzat will be able to survive. I don't think DDP is going to take him down and submit him in the third round. DDP does have power, but doesn't have any devastating knockouts that I think would just make Khamzat quit. I mean, Khamzat would have to be truly, truly death gassed where he can't even keep himself standing for, I think, the finish to come in. But I do think DDP is a much better striker than Khamzat. I think Khamzat has solid boxing, but we know how well-rounded of a kickboxer Dricus is. Yeah, I do think the longer the fight goes, obviously, the more in favor it will be for DDP. I think it would be wise for Khamzat to go for broke in the first round, because I think DDP just builds as the fight goes on. Again, he really struggled against Usman when Usman took the fight on 10 days' notice. Would have lost that fight had he not gotten the 10-8 first round. Nearly got knocked out by Gilbert Burns, who you pointed out is a former 155-pound fighter. Yes, he submitted Kevin Holland when he changed opponents on one day's notice. Yes, he took down and submitted Whitaker in the first round, which in that fight I felt was his path to victory as well. But he other than that, I mean, he really hasn't fought a ton of talent. I mean, he fought Usman and Whitaker. Other than that, I'm not super blown away. He fights once a year, and yeah, he dominantly wins 75% of the time in the UFC. Was not a dominant win over Usman, was not a dominant win over Gilbert Burns. I think DDP beats both those guys. I love that the number keeps getting better and better on DDP. Earlier in the week, it was like plus 175. It's now up to plus 210. That's fine by me. Um, DDP by decision is going to be my official pick at plus 600. All right, let's jump into the picks. Overall, the past few weeks haven't been outstanding for the Red and Blue Fight Pick Show, but we are back live for you this week. We are going to start with the 3-unit play of Chase Hooper money line with Carlos Prates money line. Um, Again, we think Hooper is much better in rounds 2 and 3, especially. I think Hernandez's only path to victory would be first round TKO. Hooper gets better and better every fight. Is not even in his prime yet. I think Hernandez is just a little bit past his prime. Has been utilizing the grappling to win fights. That's not going to be an option against Hooper. Red Ray pointed out Hooper is no longer gooning, which should really help his performance. We also like Carlos Prates. Who showed he can go the distance. That was a fear for a lot of people. He was on a 10-fight knockout streak. He is with the Fighting Nerds. Jeff Neal, not fighting too often, working a part-time job while training, 34 years old, the shorter, more one-dimensional fighter. We like Prates a lot, and we're going to pair Hooper and Prates together. That gets down to minus 119. That's going to be the 3-unit play. The 2-unit play is going to be over 2.5 rounds in the women's flyweight fight between Karine Silva and Diane Barbosa. Red Ray and I are both leaning Diane Barbosa in this rematch. We think that the grappling is going to counteract each other. Neither of these ladies are going to knock each other out. We do think this will be a fight up against the cage and on the ground. We are both leaning Barbosa, but we do expect this fight to go over 2.5 rounds. We're going to parlay that with the GM3 Mikey O under 2.5 rounds. We both feel Mikey O is going to knock out GM3, but Mikey O has been submitted 6 times in his career within the UFC. We know GM3 is obviously a submission guru with 29 submission wins. We do not expect this fight to go the distance, and so we're going to do the over 2.5 in that Karine Silva Diane Barbosa fight, and the under Mikey O GM3 under 2.5. And I believe, Red Ray, do you have that number? I forgot to write it down.
The Mikey O one.
Yep.
No,
Look that up for me. And
What
then
is
the
it,
one
Barbosa under?
Barbosa over 2.5 and Mikey O under 2.5. The 1-unit play is going to be Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Red Ray and I both like him to beat Brian Battle. Brian Battle is a true welterweight who's taken this fight because he's having a hard time finding a fight. Ruzaboyev, while also spending time at welterweight, is a true middleweight. Looked outstanding in his last fight, is only 31 years old, in the prime of his career. This guy has had 47 professional fights, has fought some real talent so far in the UFC, and has beaten a few of those guys. Brian Battle is 8-1 in the UFC, but has fought all bottom 20 to 60 guys in the UFC. This is by far his biggest test. Not someone who poses a lot of threat on the feet. Not really going to be a knockout threat against Ruzaboyev. We think the finishing ability is all on the Ruzaboyev side. He's going to have a 4-inch height advantage. I think he's really going to look like a much bigger man compared to Brian Battle, and we do think he is going to get the win. Red Ray, do you have the number on that 2-unit play?
Minus 114.
Minus 114 on that. And Ruzaboyev money line is plus 145. Red Ray, let's hear your picks.
We got 2 plays this week. We're going to go Diane Barbosa plus 3.5, minus 150. We're going to put 1.5 units on that. Already covered it a little bit, but I just think Diane Barbosa is the better skilled fighter here. My worry is that she could lose round 3 with the gas tank issue, taking the fight on short notice, but she should be able to win one of the 2 rounds or one of the first 2 rounds easily, and I still think she's going to win the fight. So we're just going to play it safe with a plus 3.5 though. And then we're on Aaron Pico. Obviously, we're going to get it down to over. We're going to take him at the same game parlay of over a half of a round. That way we can get it down to minus 150. Hopefully he doesn't knock out Murphy in those first 2.5 minutes. Which is very plausible, but we're just going to hope that Murphy can survive a little bit. But as we said, I just think Pico's better everywhere. I think he can win by either grappling control for 3 rounds or striking. And he can either fast that he should. The only path for Murphy, I think, here is a adrenaline dump and death gas by Pico, which obviously would be the first time that would occur. So those are the 2 plays there.
All right. Blue Bart's picks are going to do a half unit on Chase Hooper's sub. Again, I do think he's going to submit Anthony Hernandez. I think Hooper is just night and day better on the ground. There's not really much to say. Everyone knows how good of a submission artist Chase Hooper is. I'm going to do a half unit on that. That's plus 150. I'm going to do a half unit on DDP money line with over 9.5 minutes. That's plus 300. Red Ray and I both like this fight to go to decision. I am much higher on the DDP side. I think he's the better striker. I do think he's going to defend the dominant grappling of Khamzat Chimaev. He'll be able to survive the first round. The longer this fight goes, the more in favor it is for DDP. I think there's potential for a late finish for DDP, so I am not going to take him by decision. I'm just going to play it safe with the over 9.5 minutes. And then I have a 2-unit play. I'm feeling very confident in Jakar Klose. Like I pointed out, Barbosa hasn't fought in over a year, hasn't fought at lightweight in over 5 years, is now moving back up to that weight class against Jakar Klose, who I think is underrated. I do think Klose can take down Barbosa. We've seen him exposed in that department. Jakar Klose training at MMA Lab. I like that gym. I like what I've been seeing from that gym, from those fighters. I'm going to take him plus 3.5. We just need him to win 1 round, which I think he is very live to do, as I see him winning the fight. And we are going to pair him with Kai Asakura, who is fighting the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm sorry, he's fighting Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott hasn't fought in over 18 months. He does not want to fight Asakura. He was shaking in his boots at the stare down. Is a terrible striker. I think this is if this was a kickboxing fight, the odds would be about minus $1 billion for Asakura. He showed he can defend himself on the ground. It's just tough when you're going up against the pound for pound number 3, 4, 5 fighter in the world in Pantoja. Red Ray and I both like Asakura by knockout. I'm just going to pair his money line alongside the close plus 3.5 to get us at plus 107. That is my 2-unit play. Those are the picks. This card is going to be awesome. All of these fights are very close. Really looking forward to watching this. Please follow us on x.com/RNB Fight Picks to get all the picks live in real time, in the recaps in real time. Until then, next week, I don't know if we will be back or not. We will discuss. It depends on schedules. We could potentially be back next week for UFC Fight Night. Johnny Walker versus Ming Yang. We will see. If not, we will see you guys soon. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please follow us on x.com/R&B Fight Picks. Good luck. Please, feel free to interact with us on x.com as well. We'd love to engage with you guys. Wishing you luck, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye-bye.